way to work. Got a whole situation going. But I was up this morning and I was thinking about yesterday. So if any of you don't know, yesterday marked 400 years since the first slave, documented slave, I should say, arrived in the Americas. And I know there's been a bunch of buzz going around about this particular topic within religious groups, within the conscious community, and amongst people who have been waiting for this time marker. For those of you who don't know, the time marker is actually a biblical prophecy given to Abraham before the Hebrew Israelites. Well, at the time they weren't even Hebrew Israelites. It was given to Abraham. Abraham is the patriarch of the Hebrew Israelites. It was given to him that his people would be afflicted in a land for 400 years. And then after the 400-year time, those people would be released from that place of captivity. A lot of people attribute the 400-year prophecy to the time period when the Israelites went into Canaan during the famine and stayed there, and then were released under the leadership of Moses into the Promised Land. If you haven't read Hidden in Plain Sight, it's a book that I've written, and there is a second Exodus edition that goes into the 400-year prophecy and the second Exodus portion of Scripture. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the second Exodus is supposed to be, according to the biblical narrative, bigger than the first Exodus. For those of you who don't know what the first Exodus is, the first Exodus is when the Most High led the Israelites out of Egyptian captivity and bondage into their own land. In Scripture, it's prophesied that would happen again to the people who have been scattered to the four corners of the world. The bondage of the places that they're in, the oppression, suppression, repression, all of it, and to begin to live under the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High Elohim. So this morning, I felt it buzzing, through social media. People were talking about how they felt a shift yesterday. So August 20th, 2019, according to historical record, marked 400 years after the first slave was dropped off into America. And that 400-year period is very imperative. Now, that does not leave us in a place to then begin to predict or understand more eschatological, if that's even a word, things that'll happen as time plays out. What it does is give us a marker, and so that's what I just wanted to highlight today. Slavery is first and foremost something that takes place in a mentality. I believe a lot of people felt the shift yesterday because a mindset shifted. When you are in bondage, whether it's mental, physical, emotional, and when that time is officially up, it's going to take time for the body and everything to understand what that really means. But immediately at that moment, something shifts. And I truly, 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 truly believe that that moment has come. I believe that it's been in the process for a lot of people. A lot of us have been living and preparing our minds for other people to feel that shift as well, so that we can then operate in a way and help them to navigate through the changes that are going to come. There are going to be some significant changes. I've already begun to see them. Other people have, just in the narrative, the things that are being talked about, who's talking about these things, how they're appearing in mainstream media. These are all very, very, very significant markers, especially when just 10 years ago, these were not conversations. This was not the dialogue of, the major news media and the networks and the conscious community and the religious community. It's pretty much hitting a convergence, if you will, where everything kind of comes into one place. And so what you're going to notice is a lot more people are going to begin to inquire, which requires those who are set as examples to really step your game up. Like the conversation you're having, who you're having with, your patience, your humility, because the time's coming where these conversations are going to be normal and regular, and you have to be knowledgeable. You have to have the information. You have to be able to answer it, and not just send somebody to a YouTube video where they're going to say, oh, go watch this teacher and they said this. No, they want to hear it from you, because you are their you're their hub. You're the person that they're going to and that they're watching live out the way of the Creator. And if you have to send them to somebody else, then that's not going to work. They trust you. So it's time to become knowledgeable about not only who you are, that's a given, but then the information that is required of you to know, to be able to share. It has to be in your heart. It can't be something that you have to flip through. Can't be something you have to send somebody else to. It has to come from within, because you are literally the key that people have been directed to by the Creator to unlock a lot of the chains on people's minds. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. You can't send the person to somebody else. It's not going to work. It's going to be you. You're the person. You are that city on a hill. You are that light that is necessary, and Yah is illuminating and opening up people's eyes so that they can see you, so that you can then direct them into the direction they're supposed to go. Right now, I think it's really imperative that we carry with us the reality of where we are and where we are in time and how important that is. And for those of you who know me, it's been a passion. The passion is moving forward, understanding where we are in time, and then taking the rightful steps in that direction. So with 400 years come and gone, today is day one. Day one of starting over. Day one of releasing mental oppression. Day one of forgiveness. Day one of walking in the truth that redemption is near and that there is still work to do. There is preparation for redemption. If you remember the first Exodus story, Moses and the Israelites had plagues and things that happened, but before that even began, Yah had already set aside elders. Yah had already set aside a baby in a basket and put him in Pharaoh's home in order to release his people. There's preparation happening right now, and every person that's supposed to be preparing needs to be doing that, because every single person has an integral part in the unraveling and the unfolding of the redemptive story. Every single person. Yah's portion is the show up portion. Our portion is the work portion. Our portion is the get the work done, showing that we're ready, showing that we're prepared, showing that our hearts and our minds and our souls are in a cultivating process, beginning to do the work. Can't go into a land that's supposed to be yours and have zero skills. When our people came back, if you read throughout all the captivities that the Israelites have been in, they always came back with skilled laborers, people who knew how to build, people who knew how to plant, people who knew how to teach, and people who were seamstresses, and people who had gathered things. It's preparation time. This is day one of preparation, day one of renewal, day one of steadfastness. There's going to be a lot of things that change. This is day one, truly, of enduring to the end. It starts now, because now that everybody knows what's happening and people are going to start searching. When you Google 400 year, you're going to see 400 years. You're going to see all these things about the slaves coming into all this information. You're going to also hear about the people who were enslaved within this nation when those people came here. That's all going to buzz. But also what you're going to see is the 400-year prophecy, which means that people are going to be able to correlate the prophetic word of the 400-year time period with what's happening right now, which is going to send them to inquire. So those who are sent and those who are supposed to stand up and do their work and be a light, it's time. I'm super excited. It's very exciting times. We know that the return is also a great and awful day for those people that don't catch it. So we need to operate in humility as we begin to share, as we begin to move in this direction. But also, I cannot emphasize this more, prepare. And that means prepare when it comes to gardening, prepare when it comes to mental space, because a lot of things are going to change. Prepare when it comes to living and walking out the way of Torah. I want to add that the perfect example of how to live in the times that we're coming into are given to us by the Messiah. He gives us the picture of what it means to live under occupation, to wait for liberation, and then to be free. It also comes from the Israelites. There was oppression, and then there's freedom. There is going to be a squeeze eventually. It's going to be high times, and then as things begin to happen, it's going to shift. I talk about it a lot more. I told you I'm on my way to work. In Hidden in Plain Sight, the second Exodus edition, I deal with what that looks like, how it's going to look like from the nations, and I parallel it with the Egyptian bondage. So you guys check that out. I'm so excited for where we are in time. I'm so excited that, you guys are catching on to this great, release, and that we will be renewed and be moving forward in the future. All right, shalom.